true. Is it? Awesome. All right, congratulations.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Great news.
Here we are, still very much pregnant. Okay, so just wanted to give a little update. Today is Tuesday, January 19th, and baby boy's due date was yesterday, which obviously didn't happen because we're still here, which is good. So just wanted to film this because I had a doctor's appointment today, and I just want to keep you guys updated on like the whole process and how we're actually getting to his birth, because I think from the very beginning I was very open and vocal about, you know, my thoughts on labor, you know, how I would like my labor to go. And I think it's important to like be open about these things and maybe normalize some of the stuff that I mentioned, because I find that it's hard to find these types of birth stories or just find birth stories in general, because it's just something that either maybe we don't get a chance to talk about or get asked about or whatever. So whatever the circumstances may be. So I think each and every woman's labor experience is so different and so unique to her and her situation that that's one of the biggest reasons why I love hearing them, because there's no telling how yours will go. Everyone's is so different. And this is mine. So we're starting off with the beginning of what I think is going to be my labor experience. So like I said, yesterday was his due date. We're exactly at 40 weeks. Obviously, when you're at the last month of pregnancy, you start going in every week just to make sure things are okay, everything's moving along fine. So that's what we've been doing. And every checkup, I cannot be more thankful and grateful that every time I've gone in, I'm perfectly fine. He's perfectly fine and healthy. My vitals are good. So, you know, medically, there has been no red flags or cause for concern, which, like I said, I think is a huge blessing. I do not take it for granted whatsoever. How I'm feeling personally, I feel great. I can't say I am like extremely exhausted or at that point where I am in desperate need to get him out. I honestly feel fine. For me, it's like just the anxiousness of I want him here already, because we're ready for him. Like, we just want to meet him and, you know, have that time with him. So it's selfish reasons, but that's basically the only thing really that we're anxious about. So up until about, I think, 38 weeks, I was already starting to dilate a little bit. Personally, I never felt any type of contractions, cramps, or anything like that. Maybe I'd feel like a little crampy at sometimes, but nothing significant enough for me to even complain about or sometimes even notice. So I don't know, you know, if that means anything. But yeah, so today was a checkup, and like I said, yesterday was due date, so we're 40 weeks in a day. And we're doing ultrasounds just to make sure his fluid levels are good, he's good. So here's like the rundown of where we're at right now, what we found in my doctor's appointment, and what we're gonna do and take it from here. So he's in position, he's head down, which is great. I'm so glad he's not breached or anything like that. He gets lower and lower every time I go in to check. I am at a 1.5 centimeters dilated. My cervix is very soft. I'm not effaced just yet. It's still a little thick. and he has good fluid levels. He's measuring in about 8 pounds and some change, so he's getting on the bigger side. My blood pressure is fine. His heart rate and heartbeat is healthy and fine. He's moving very normal, very good. So yeah, as you can tell, my doctor has no reason to medically intervene, and basically ball's in our court at this point. So we're at this point where, do we choose to induce or do we just ride it out? My whole thing was obviously get to 40 weeks because, you know, I want to make sure that he had enough time in there to develop, and obviously our biggest and number one goal is to come home with a healthy, happy baby, and mom and baby are safe, and that's all really I can ask for. So now that we're here, and to be honest, like I said, I feel fine, I feel great. I've had no signs of like preterm labor, I've had no signs of labor, active labor, nothing like that. So it's kind of just like this weird waiting game. Now there's nothing wrong with waiting, but my only concern is his size, because I am a smaller person and I personally was a big baby. Now obviously there's risk factors when your baby's on the bigger side, but none of those risk factors are guaranteed. Nothing about this is guaranteed. So I'm at this point where, you know, we can either choose to get induced or we can choose to wait it out. And there's literally pros and cons to both. And literally a lot of those pros and cons are things that aren't even 100% guaranteed, because I don't know what my body will do naturally. I don't know how it'll go if I choose to induce or not. So it's just one of those things with like, what do we want to do? What feels right in our heart and our gut? So leaving today's appointment, I have a lot to think about, because again, pros to him coming when we say and getting induced, there's definitely a lot of pros and there's some cons, but it's now a matter of weighing out those pros and cons. So literally, because I'm a type A person, I'm gonna just go ahead and do a list tonight. Danny and I are gonna talk about it. You know, we're still enjoying these last moments of it just being us two, because we don't know when exactly that will come to a complete end. But definitely we are both going to talk about it tonight and come to a decision and see what it is we want to do. And of course, I'll keep you guys updated. So I know this isn't like the typical start to a labor and delivery vlog. It's not the start that I thought I would have. I thought that, you know, I would be contracting and wanting to start recording and documenting and video diary and everything. But this is a little different, and maybe it's a good thing, because maybe, you know, for any of you out there who are going to be in a similar situation, this could help guide you. And of course, it'll show you exactly our process and what we experience. So that's all I have to say for now. I did want to include it in the video because I think it's going to play a key role in how this all ends up happening, and we'll just wait and see. But keeping you guys updated, and obviously I'm taking you there for the ride. So we'll see. So I just got back from the hospital. No baby, because he's still here, but not earthside yet. Last night we got to do a lot of talking and deliberating. I kind of left you guys off with, you know, what our current situation was and how we had to basically weigh out our pros and cons, come to a decision on exactly what we wanted to do. And after talking about it, Danny and I felt like it was just a good idea to go ahead and go with an elective induction. So that is what we are doing. And there's a couple driving forces behind it, but really main thing is that as much as I wanted to go into labor naturally and to have my body, you know, just do it on its own, I don't know when that's going to happen. It could happen today still. Or I don't know if it was going to happen in another week or two, you know. So with that being said though, obviously once you're full term, every passing day, it's a little bit of a risk the longer, you know, they're in there. Although he is doing fine, like I mentioned yesterday, I'm perfectly fine. He's perfectly fine as of right now. But, you know, just with having factors like a favorable cervix right now and, you know, just with everything, also with like the timeline of things as far as like each passing day is another day in my maternity leave that I'm taking with no baby. And I feel like that sounds bad. That's not a good enough reason, I feel like, to want to rush your baby to be here. I understand that, and I don't like saying that, but the fact of the matter is, it is true. You know, I did give myself a certain amount of time for maternity leave, and the longer he goes over the due date, the more time I lose being able to be with him and adjust to new mom life and, you know, get back to work because, you know, even though I'm slowly going to ease back into things, that's just taking away time from that as well. And I want as much time with him as possible, just, you know, totally in this newborn bubble, which is a blessing that we're able to do, both my husband and I, because, you know, we're both self-employed. So not many couples or people get that option. So the fact that we do, we try and take advantage of it as much as possible. So yeah, and then also I think just going with what you feel in your heart and in your gut. I really prayed about it yesterday, and I just kind of really, you know, asked God to, you know, guide me. And I always go with my gut. If something doesn't feel right, I tend to listen to it. And if something does feel right, just go for it. So, you know, when I came to just asking myself how I felt about it, I don't feel negatively about it. So I think that means something, and I'm going to just listen to what, you know, my intuition is telling me. So yeah. Also, the weirdest part about it was like knowing that we're like kind of technically choosing a birthday for him, which is yes and no, because just because you have an induction doesn't mean you're going to know when your baby is actually going to be here. So we're trying to also just keep that in mind too, that, you know, there is no saying, even with an induction, what day he'll actually make his appearance. So, you know, just throwing that out there in case you feel weird about it, because that's kind of what was like the biggest thing for us that felt weird. We're like, so weird that we're like choosing, you know, when to start the process to get him here. But it's just something that some people can choose to do. So yeah, I actually just got back, like I said, from the hospital because we had to pre-register and I had to take a COVID test. So just a heads up, this is my experience. They did do the nasal swab. I didn't go in there nervous because I'm about to give birth. So I think a COVID test is the least of my worries, the actual test part. Just a heads up, you guys, if you ever have to get tested and you're afraid of the test, don't be afraid. It's nothing. I honestly feel like this may be TMI, but if you guys have ever like had to like throw up and it comes out your nose, or like water comes out your nose, anything that's like not water, like if you ever had a drink come out your nose, anything, I actually feel like that sensation is way worse than what you feel with the COVID swab. So just putting that out there in case any of you ever need to get tested. It's really not that bad. But yeah, so we are registered. We're ready to go. We're supposed to check in tomorrow at 4. So I'll see you guys then, and I'll keep you updated. So it seems we have a bit of a plot twist. So it's currently almost 5 a.m. And yeah, my son really said, let's add a little bit of spice to this labor. So the craziest thing happened, and I'm trying to be quiet because obviously Danny is sleeping. I made him go to sleep. But after I last recorded anything for you guys, we went and had dinner, came back, took Wesley for a walk, and then just carried on like our normal nightly routine. And then around a little after midnight, I was like starting to feel something. And I noticed I had a sensation before we left to dinner, and then during dinner, and then when I was showering when we got back. But it was very new to me, and they were so spread out apart that I didn't really pay much attention. I just kind of like flagged it in my mind. But now I know that they were contractions and they were mild. Okay, I just had one right now too. And then about 12:30 is when I started to get them regularly, but I'm using the word regularly loosely. They're coming and going, and they're obviously not bad. I just talked through one right now, so I'm okay. But they are picking up a little bit in intensity, but it's nothing alarming. But the funny thing is that since we're scheduled for our induction tomorrow, and up until this point, nothing had been happening as far as early signs of labor. So I just thought I was gonna have a regular ass night. So I didn't wash my hair when I showered earlier, and then once I started to notice that these contractions weren't going away, I was like, oh shit. So at around 3:30, I kind of told Danny, like, hey, heads up, this is kind of happening. I don't know if it means anything. It could mean something, it could mean nothing, but get your stuff in order. And I was like, I'm gonna wash my hair. So that's what I'm doing right now, in case you're wondering like what I'm doing. So yeah, I had to wash my hair. I'm on my bouncy ball, I'm on my birthing ball, and they're coming and going. I feel one kind of coming on right now, but not really anything too bad. So right now I'm just gonna kind of wait it out and still keep timing them in the morning, or I guess in a few hours. I'm gonna go ahead and call my doctor, just kind of let her know what's going on and see what she recommends. I don't feel an urge or a necessity to take action right now and to go to the hospital yet. So my contractions are still really irregular. I'll kind of show you right now. So on my app, so you can kind of see that they're still really irregular in the duration and frequency. They're not really lasting a whole minute just yet. They were earlier, but then they kind of started to shorten again. So everything is still kind of like not too synced or alarming. So I'm just going to wait it out and see. Unless they start to get really frequent and strong, then of course we'll go, but as of right now, I don't really feel a need to. Right now, they just kind of feel like a period cramp. Doing like hip circles on the ball though feels really good. So I'm gonna go ahead and just finish up my hair, and I'm gonna just try to rest, and I'll probably eat a little something if time permits. So I'll keep you guys posted. Another turn of events. My water actually broke at around 6 a.m. So we came straight to the hospital, and so far so good. Vitals are good. Just waiting on some final details before they can send Danny up here with me and get me more situated, but I'm doing okay. Interview me? That we're here at the hospital. So what's funny about this is that I started off my labor story with like explaining that we were gonna do an elective induction. So it's funny that this is now what ended up happening. You got it? All right. So just a little update, because we've been napping off and on, trying to rest since we didn't really sleep at all last night. It's about to be 4 o'clock, and last time I was checked, it was about over an hour ago. So we're moving along. We're 5 centimeters, 100% of face, and just waiting to get to 10, and he's still pretty high up, so just having him lower down more. But other than that, feeling great. And yeah, just coasting along, just trying to save my energy up. But other than that, I'm doing good. Danny, you want to say how you're feeling? Or no?
Nope.
No. He's doing good too. He's hanging in there. Yeah, so we'll see if we progress any faster, or hopefully faster rather than slower. And I'll have a baby by the end of the day. Okay, so new update. Danny just left to go get something from the cafeteria, but here we are. Last update, we were at a 5 centimeters, 100% effaced. He was in -2 station, and I look more tired than what I feel, to be honest. But I got checked about an hour ago, and I was now at a 7-8, and he's now in 0 station, so we're getting there, we're getting really close. I still feel really good, I still feel perfectly fine. Yeah, we're just excited to meet him, and I'm excited to have my first meal after this. But that's where we're at right now. Here he is, as perfect as can be. This has been the craziest thing I've ever done, and I would do it over and over again. We are in this bubble of love, and I cannot believe I made this.